Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando, that's Corey, and today we're doing 1985's The Return of the Living Dead. Before we get started, if you want to follow me or Corey on Twitter, you can follow me at Junior D's. You can follow Corey at Corey_idol. And also, if you want to follow the show, you can follow us now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Kiss the Reviews. So, cool. How's your day? You doing okay?
Yay, great.
So, before we get into everything, I'll start with the cast of The Return of the Living Dead. This film stars Clu Gulager as Burt, James Karen as Frank, Don Calfa as Ernie, Thom Mathews as Freddy, Beverly Randolph as Tina, and Miguel Núñez as Spider.
There are so many people in this cast with two first names. I wish they would let Clu borrow one.
Hoorah! And by the way, are the two main old guys that are friends named Burt and Ernie?
Seems that way, yeah.
You were right.
So I don't know the last time I saw this movie. I couldn't even tell you outside of it was more than 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I remember it being kind of funny for a serious horror movie. I remember it being humorous to me the last time I saw it, but I don't remember it being this bad.
Yeah, I think the most disappointing thing about this, I've seen these before, and every time I'm disappointed, and it's because Night of the Living Dead is easily one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah.
I love that movie. And then this is the follow-up. And they're just like, yeah, it was a movie because the government made some stuff up. And that's where we're going.
I don't remember the plot of this movie being so awful.
No.
And so let's just jump into this because I got a lot to say about this movie. So the movie opens in a warehouse of a medical supply company where Frank is teaching Freddy, a new hire, how to do his job. The one thing I noticed just in the opening scene, the package packing practices of the 70s and 80s were terrible. Whoever invented the packing peanut can literally go to hell.
And they probably will because of all the dolphins that have choked on packing peanuts over the course of history. But, all that shit ends up in the ocean. That's where it all goes.
100%.
This is one of the oddest places I've ever seen. Because, I've walked into medical supply companies before. And what they don't have are real-life skeletons with perfect teeth from India. We don't smuggle human bodies, let alone a back refrigerator full of cadavers. Well, they were full, but it's the busy season.
Unless you go to the bodies exhibit that they have at the abandoned malls. I don't know if you ever went to one of those. And you find out later that it was all smuggled in cadavers.
Oh, yeah. It's just fucking serial killers jerking off next to you. It's really uncomfortable.
It really is. It really is. But just this whole thing getting set up, they're packing these skeletons, fucking whatever. And then it cuts to Frank and Freddy in the office. And Frank tells Freddy that the movie Night of the Living Dead was actually a true story, but they had to change it because the army was, going to kill people. So they have and he tells him that they have the bodies from that original story in the basement to prove it. And they got them from the army by a shipping error. Corey's Life Lessons.
Hi, chatty Cathys of the world. Uncle Corey here. Snitches get stitches, or in this case, gassed with a zombie gas. Don't do this.
Yes.
If you have something that's a secret, and I don't care if it's I know so-and-so stepped out on their wife fucking 5 years ago. Or it's, hey, we have secret zombies stored in the basement. Shut the fuck up about it.
Yes.
Just shut up about it. This whole thing is completely avoidable if Frank isn't trying to show off to Freddy and his cool suspenders.
Yes, this has got little dick energy written all over it. And by the way, for all you conspiracy theorists, and Corey and I have talked about this, I love a good conspiracy theory because they're fun. But that's where it ends. It's fun, and then you go on to your normal life. You don't believe in them. So to all you conspiracy theorists, this is why conspiracies can't be real. If I tell 5 people that I pissed my pants because I drank too much, one of you bitches is snitching and telling somebody else.
Hell yes.
Yeah, no, Freddy properly packed an Indian skeleton and then was permitted to see the most top secret classified information, not only Burt's medical hardware supply store company, whatever the fuck, has, let alone the United States government.
Yes.
So really, I guess the message to take away here is, do good at your job, kids.
Absolutely.
And you'll learn stuff, especially if you're a white male. They're just like, hey, way to pack those peanuts, kid. You want some top secret information? Come on.
Let's go to the basement.
Your head's gonna spin. But you pack a fucking dead body like nobody's business. Come on.
Exactly. So they go in the basement. He shows them hey, you want to see a dead body? So he shows them the dead body. And Frank hits it, which breaks it. The green gas spills out. And Frank and Teddy pass out because they got gassed.
Yeah, these two do a fucking Abbott and Costello here.
Yes.
Where he's like, this baby's sturdy. It's made by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And he hits it and it cracks open and sprays him in the face with gas. Ha 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 ha. We've seen that since the 1920s. It was fun.
Well, and here's the other thing with Frank. And I'll mention it now so I don't have to mention it the 10 other times it happens in this movie. Frank has to have the weakest stomach or the strongest gag reflex. He's constantly leaving the room to throw up.
I can actually explain away Frank's character from here on out because it's pretty fantastic, I think, what they did.
Okay.
If you remember in the original Night of the Living Dead, Barbara is pretty much catatonic the whole time. She cannot handle anything that's happening.
Yes.
And as soon as they realize dead bodies are coming back, Frank is squealing like Ned Beatty in Deliverance. He cannot stop being hysterical. I was laughing my ass off.
Yes.
Because that had to be, he is the Barbara of this film. He cannot keep it together. I love it so much.
No, it's fantastic. And Frank is my favorite person in this whole movie.
Yes.
So meanwhile, as they're, going through all this, we see Freddy's, punk friends and his girlfriend Tina going to pick him up at work, but they're 2 hours early. So they decide to hang out in the cemetery next to the medical supply company, which, can we have a talk about the cemetery scene here where Trash gets turned on by Death and then gets asshole naked on the top of one of the little mausoleum things and starts dancing? And by the way, they're punks, correct? We're punk rockers. But she dances to pop music, and they hang out with a couple of yuppies too. You have broke ass David Arquette, and you have Tina, who don't have mohawks or long hair, or they're wearing blazers, and it looks like Tina's going to the P. Diddy white party. She's all in white. But somehow they're hanging out with, I don't know, Douche and Snot and Trash and whatever the fuck their names are. But the whole cemetery scene with them is fucking ridiculous. And this chick who's just I'm just gonna get naked and dance around because I like it.
Hell yes.
I think everybody should take a lesson from this. Because if somebody wants to get naked and dance, let them. But also keep in mind, that doesn't necessarily mean, guys, that they want to fuck you in any way. They just want to be naked and dance, like the witches of Salem. So let them fucking do it.
Sure. And far be it from me.
Just enjoy the view. Yeah.
Yeah. Far be it from me to shame anybody for getting naked. I was just, I was concerned for her well-being, and she might get sick. There was a bit of a draft outside. It was a whole thing.
Well, if I may clue our viewers in, you know how Armando likes to do the whole look to your left, look to your right. If you don't see that person, you are that person. Armando's trying hard not to look to his left or right because he knows he's the dude that gets naked at the fucking party.
Is it possible this story is true? Yes, it is.
After all this, we see Frank and Freddy wake up. They see the corpse in the container is gone. They kill the half a dog upstairs that's alive. And then they realize a corpse in the cooler is alive as it bangs on the cooler door.
Am I messed up? Because there is a lot of death of humans just trying to stop the pain and by eating brains and actual alive human beings that are being massacred.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, don't kill that dog. That's fucked up. Just let the dog be.
I felt really bad for the horrible rubber stuffed dog that got the shit beat out of it.
I did. I really did. Just stick to humans. Don't hurt animals, even if they're fake. Even if they're cut in half and are zombies, let them be.
Just let them go. Who's he running after? The dog can't even get up. So Frank then calls Burt, who's the owner of the company. Burt shows up, and all he wants to do is keep everything under wraps so the government doesn't investigate him. So he has Freddy and Frank try to kill the undead corpse by putting a pickaxe through its head. That doesn't work. So Burt decides to chop up the body and take it to his old buddy Ernie, who runs the funeral home / crematorium mortuary behind their building.
Ernie is my favorite character in this movie. However, Frank probably is the most relatable because the call he makes to Burt here, every employee at some time when they fucked up has had to make that call to their boss where they're just like, all right. Hey, how's it going? Not a big deal. I kind of just set a zombie fucking loose in the world.
I will say this. I have made that call a couple of times in my work career, but my call doesn't sound like that one. So mine sounded more like The Hangover when Phil just says,
"We fucked up."
Like that's what my calls sound like. It's just, hey, I fucked up. So after some lame story about what's in the bag and there's dead badgers with rabies or whatever, and way too much talky here, Burt tells Ernie the truth about what's in the bags, and they attempt to dispose of the body in the giant pizza oven in the crematorium, which emits ash and smoke out of the chimney into the air, causing it to rain down, acid rain and such.
And just for you non-Italians out there, it wasn't really a pizza oven. That is legitimately what they use to burn bodies in a crematorium.
Yes.
Some people just see a pizza oven every time.
That's what I see. I'm sorry. I saw a giant pizza oven. I was like, dude, you know how many pizzas you can make in that thing?
I'm not judging your culture at all. I just don't want people to think like this is some weird Pizzagate thing that's happening.
So we then see the punks in the cemetery get rained on and run for the car. And they say the rainwater feels like acid and Trash is pretty much still naked at this point. And I wanted to see, when I watched this movie, I was like, man, the chick who plays Trash, I wanted to see her A, audition tape, and B, the conversation they had when they were like, hey, you got the part. FYI, you're naked the whole movie. Like, You're literally wearing like maybe leg warmers at one point, but just naked for 90% of the movie.
Yeah, she should have gotten paid the most on this movie. I'll just say
100%.
that. That's the only thing that
100%.
kept going through my mind when she's like, I'm sitting in this car and oh, this rain burnt. I'm like, fuck that. I hope you got paid for like you were able to retire after this.
Yeah, something tells me she got like a Snickers bar and like $50 to be in this movie.
Now, I'll be honest with you, $50 in a Snickers bar, you'll probably see my fucking fur coat and the button I got running around town.
Hey,
but at the same time, I have no shame left.
We need the money. That's why we're doing this. Tina goes to the medical supply building to find Freddy, but no one's there. She goes in the basement to see if he's down there with his trains or whatever, and she gets chased by the slimy OG corpse that came out of the container. Her punk friends then show up, hear that Tina's in trouble in the basement. They go down there. Suicide is the first person down there. He gets murked by the OG corpse, and everyone runs out of the basement and locks the thing downstairs.
I understand it. You're seeing this goopy fucking thing walking around and it's got eyeballs and it's going brain. Like its eyeballs and its tongue and some of the teeth are perfectly preserved.
Yes.
Apparently so is the voice box. Nothing else though. Everything else is just a goop. But also at the same time, fucking run. We've said this at many, 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 many times how bad of friends we are. Yes. You're trapped in that fucking thing and it's about to break the door open. That's a you problem, bro, because it's fucking distracted, which means I can piece right the fuck back out those stairs.
Yep.
Absolutely. Ain't
Absolutely.
ever happening. Suicide, schmuicide. I ain't ever gonna be that fucking guy.
We then get Tina, Spider, and Scuzz running from the hundreds of undead outside to the funeral home. Ernie lets them in, and they explain what's going on outside.
Trash gets her wish here, I believe, where she is literally torn apart and eaten alive by really old men. They just happen to be zombies.
Yes.
So,
good for you. Way to go.
It'd be for a bunch of old men to get around me and start biting and eating me alive.
Yeah, congratulations. Your other option, though, outside of actually, being eaten, would have just been to audition for a Japanese game show. Because I think naked women being ravaged by a group of old men is literally what happens on those shows.
I think it's on Netflix right now.
I watch it on Pornhub weekly.
The paramedics come in, they check out Frank and Freddy, and they're like, oh, you're dead, and I guess we got to go out to the van to get more stuff, whatever. And the paramedics get murked here after going back to their vehicle, and then all hell breaks loose as we get the group trying to board up the funeral home to prevent the undead from entering. And this, everybody, is ridiculous. The worst thing, and again, nitpicking. I've been doing it lately, and now it's a thing, so deal with it. They get the hutch or whatever the hell is up against the wall. They put it up against the door, and they're like, nail the thing. I don't know if you've seen a bookcase or a hutch. It literally just goes straight back. There's no wings on it where they're like nailing it.
Oh, it's absurd, especially when you take into account the fact that the zombies will break the windows, but they're about as organized as the Storm Area 51 people because they never come in. It's just fucking arms just flinging around. Like, I ain't blocking shit. I'm not wasting my time with that. They're not approaching.
Yes, exactly. So we also get the lady torso explaining why they need to eat brains, and Trash turning into the hot naked zombie after being ravaged by old cranky fucking curmudgeon men. And am I mistaken? Or when she got attacked and they were like, brains, they started like chewing into her, and she comes out and she's like, nope, fucking pristine. Look at these titties. Like, she's not a goddamn mark on her.
No, nothing. And I don't know, maybe if I accidentally watched a censored version, but she looked like a Barbie doll.
Pussy. Tits.
I mean, after like 20 minutes, I was just like, I'm so bored of looking at her boobs. So I started looking down and I'm like, yo, she looks like a fucking mannequin, bro. And that's not how they rocked it in the 80s.
I was going to
like,
say,
that
it
should have
was,
been a hard bouch.
Yeah, it was 85. She had to have some shrubbery down there.
Yeah, that should look like an oak tree in fucking April.
I don't know. Was she like the inventor of like maybe like the little thin landing strip? Was she what kicked that off, that whole craze?
That's why they called her trash. Like, where's the hair, trash?
So then here we get, funny scenes of corpses getting on the radio of the paramedics and cop cars calling in and send in more cops. Which, listen, brains, I'm good with that. The whole, and I also liked running undead.
Mm-hmm.
Running zombies is always dope. Where they're not just like creepily crawling after you. So there's a lot of things that I did like. Talkie zombies? Not for me.
No. Zombies capable of reason and thought.
we need to eat brains because it hurts to be dead. Oh, fuck your feelings. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, if that actually was the case, fuck the human race, because they win in about 5 seconds.
Oh, 100%.
It's over.
Burt and Ernie here then lock Freddy and Frank in a room, but Tina won't leave Freddy all by himself, so they lock her in there too. Frank and Freddy turn into zombies. Freddy chases Tina around for a bit until Burt comes in, throws some acid in Freddy's face, and then they lock the doors back up.
Is Ernie maybe the first person ever to rock like the one pant leg up and one pant leg down on his tracksuit?
Yeah, it means he's holding.
He looked gangster as fuck, dude. That with his pistol on his side, dude.
He looked gangster as fuck until he breaks his ankle in this scene when they're trying to like barricade the door. And I didn't even see him fall down, but he's just like, my ankle. I'm like, that's some old man shit right there if I ever saw it.
Oh, yeah. He needs some insurer because he has osteoporosis running through those bones.
100%. Ernie, you need some milk. Ernie then breaks his ankle somehow here. Burt and Spider head for a cop car, and then they bolt, leaving Tina and Ernie behind to fend for themselves. And then Burt and Spider end up back at the medical supply building where they kill the OG corpse and they call the government's 800 number that was on the containers after all the cops get fucked up by the zombies.
And what's hilarious to me is the two in the cop car made it back to the medical supply store. They did all that driving. They made it back to the medical supply store, which was across the street from the mortuary.
Yes.
You made it nowhere.
No, they drove 20 minutes to get 10 feet.
Unbelievable.
Ernie and Tina here then climb into the little attic crawl space in the mortuary. They barricade the door, and we then see zombie Frank going to the crematorium. He kisses his wedding ring. He turns the pizza oven onto high. He jumps into the fire and commits zombie suicide.
Pizza.
And this is why Frank is Armando's favorite character, because anybody that's willing to commit schmuicide is like Armando's favorite person on the planet.
100%, especially when you're a zombie and you're like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to throw myself into this fucking pizza oven over here.
That's right.
And then fucking call it curtains.
This is where Armando hit pause on the tape because he still watches it on VHS. Walks into the bathroom mirror and goes, see, guy, you're not that bad.
That's not going to happen.
You got it, kid. Listen, I've never said a positive thing to myself in the mirror since the day I was born. We cut back to Burt talking with General Glover from the army, telling him about what's going on with the zombies. Glover then orders that this super gun firing a nuclear missile be launched at Louisville, Kentucky, where all the zombies are. And listen, this is literally the most positive thing that's happened to Louisville, Kentucky in the history of that city. Just to throw that out there.
Except for Jim Cornette, bro.
Sure. Yeah, there's one bright light, one bright shining light. We then see Freddy breaking into the crawl space to attack Tina, and then freeze frame. And then we see the bomb going off, killing all the zombies, the entire population in Louisville. And we also see the rain coming down after the blast. Dude, there's a lot of freeze frames here going on. It's like Freddy breaking in, freeze frame. Look at this, freeze frame. For what reason? It's terrible. It's like they ran out of tape, like actual physical like film, and they were just like, dude, just freeze frame it for 10 seconds here and 5 seconds here, and we can get to the end of this movie.
I can tell you how over budget they were by their nuclear blast, because it did not kill everyone in Louisville. In fact, it barely took 3 shingles off a roof.
It killed 4,000 people.
Yeah, dude. Fucking Ted Kaczynski was building bigger bombs than what the fuck they dropped on Louisville. Get the fuck out of here.
Timmy! Yo! Who's Ted Kaczynski? Unibomb.
So Ernie and Tina are trapped in the basement, or in the attic, right?
Yep.
And Ernie does the smart thing and puts Tina in front of him in the door.
100%.
But then he's like slowly raising the gun up, and I'm like, yo, is he about to murk Tina? And by the way, he should have, because the bitch won't shut the fuck up. How many times do we have to tell people in these horror movies? You found the best hiding spot, and the blind zombie without a ladder found you. Why? Because you can't shut the fuck up, because it's going, Tina, I want your brains. You're going, Woo! Shut the fuck up. I would have tossed her out of that fucking attic after like the second. Woo!
Yeah.
No, I wasn't having that shit.
If I'm him and I saw the gun creeping up and I was like, he's going to kill her. I'm like, that's a poor move there, because what I would have done is moved that little beam that was holding the door shut, and I would have been like, I'm just going to check on him real quick. But I would have had like a hand on her, and I would have opened it, tossed her down, and shut the shit.
Yeah, see, I understand where you're going, and that's very smart. But Ernie was playing the long game, because he's going to use her fucking dead-ass body to weigh down that door.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point.
Plus, he's got food in case he has to stay up there for a couple weeks.
Three steps ahead.
Let me tell you something. Ernie fucking served in Korea. That much I know.
Yes, he
and
did.
He's playing the long game here. He ain't nobody's fool.
But the movie ends here as Glover says that, the rain's coming down. It'll put out all the fires. And as he continues to talk, we see more corpses waking up from the acid rain. Dun, dun, dun. More zombies. The end. And then, I don't know if you stuck around for the credits, but typically they'll either, like in comedies, the credits start to roll and then you get like the outtakes.
Mm-hmm.
They literally just replayed scenes from the movie during the credits.
Yeah,
like,
I actually did see that.
I already watched this piece of shit once. I didn't need to see it a second time.
I was really excited to see a blooper reel too. I'm like, yo, they got a blooper reel on a horror movie?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That would have saved this movie for me.
Oh, I would just, I would recommend, thumbs down on the movie, thumbs up on the blooper reel. But that didn't happen.
That would have been great. But yeah, dude, overall, this movie, hot trash.
Oh, yeah, like
naked trash, but also hot trash as well.
Yes, which naked trash is better than hot trash, but, it's still trash.
It's still trash.
Pun intended. There is a certain subset of the human species that really enjoys this kind of horror comedy. This unintentional, but intentional.
Yeah.
Culty, weird. I almost like it ironic, hipster horror movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's fine. I don't begrudge you at all. I hope you enjoy this movie. I know this is one of your favorite movies out there. For me personally, there is one of two lanes you should go into. when you're doing like a horror comedy, right? Which is you are either Shaun of the Dead or you shut the fuck up and make a horror movie.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of the same way.
Anything in between, you were being nice and saying like, oh, it's a comedy horror. It's campy. Yeah, no, that means it's fucking bad.
Yeah,
9 times out of 10, that means it's bad.
Yeah, if it's campy or corny or whatever the hell word you use to describe it, it literally means it's awful.
Yes.
FYI, that's how 50 Cent describes Nick Cannon's music. It's corny. Okay? Don't describe your horror films that way, and that's why you like them. Just say you like them. I like a bunch of bad movies.
Oh,
that's okay.
Sure.
I'm totally cool with bagging on this movie and somebody else liking it. I don't care. But for me, if I have to choose, I would rather choose an intentional comedy horror like a Tucker and Dale or something along those lines versus something that's unintentionally funny because it's so fucking bad. Like just there's plenty of other horror movies pre-1985 that are super scary or also either intentionally funny or whatever the hell. But not this. This is none of those things.
No, dude, you could even look at the OG Dawn of the Dead where they're in the mall.
Yep.
That is a good
it's
horror
a good
movie.
Mix. Yeah.
And yeah, there is a little campiness to it because of the date, because of the time, because of the effects that are new and they're being added.
Yep.
That's totally fine. But like this, and then there's another one, if I remember correctly, where like a general's daughter gets the same kind of gas and turns into a conscious sentient zombie and is like sharpening her nails and like spiking her hair. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
Dude, the 80s is such a cesspool of bad things.
Bad ideas.
There were some good things, but there were so many more bad things. And this is what's unfortunate. I think you could actually remake this movie today and really make it a legitimately good horror movie without zombies explaining the exposition, without zombies calling in for more reinforcements of cops.
Yep.
It's not necessary. You can make this movie really good.
I think you absolutely can do that.
I couldn't do it. You could do it. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I can't act. I can't write. I can't direct. Like, I'm a useless piece of shit outside of inserting a couple of jokes in a review here and there.
And that big swinging dick.
And on that note, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1985's The Return of the Living Dead.